starring today the great Cyril is not to introduce anymore. If you had the opportunity to watch previous webinars, you know that he's the one from the support team. So even when you send tickets to support, his team is taking care of you. And myself, joining the great team 2 years ago now. Our agenda for this webinar will be for the billings. So we go through a standard month chronology before explaining the billing process from A to Z. And then, as we said, we keep time for questions and answers at the end of the webinars if needed. So now, if you watch already our webinars, you know that we do have some prerequisites to get an interface ready for billings, subject of the day. So we have appropriate settings for now, our sufficient rights and permissions, our project and deliveries are correctly registered and well qualified, times and expenses has been declared, and we do have our purchase order in the system. So let's start and have the first step.
Yeah, thank you very much, Estelle. All right, okay, so first of all, we thought that it was a very good idea to remind you with a big picture of what a typical month is supposed to look like in BoondManager and in your company, and what are the main steps which will actually lead you to billing every month. Indeed, every standard month follows the same chronology, and we can say that we have 3 main important steps which are here on the screen. So first, step 1, so step A, which is everything about monitoring project and missions, something that you will actually start doing at the beginning of the month and actually throughout the month. The idea of this step is to check the notifications to anticipate missions ending. Of course, you have all of the projects and missions created on BoondManager. And this is something also that Estelle will show you right after that you can manage through the reporting module and the production plans. The goal of this is to check that each delivery has been created and extended for the right amount of time. Then later in the month, then we have the collecting timesheet and expenses time. The idea is to make sure that the collaborator have submitted their activity and expenses to check that all of the documents have been validated. And here the purpose of this is to have the data completed and validated in order to prepare your billing. All right, and then finally, these half 2 days, the billing parts of the month. So here, billing, what is that? Is at least what you need to do, and then everything that we're going to zoom on after. You need to check that all deliveries that need to be invoiced are created and linked to the purchase order. To check that the amount of turnover to invoice was correctly passed on. So the goal of this webinar is to help you not forget anything and to show you how easily it will be to mass bill all of your projects. Okay, so now let's go to the next slide, and now let's have a look on the billing process from A to Z. So everything that we thought of for today. So we have a few steps, and the first one that we are going to speak about is the ongoing project check, and Estelle is going to tell you everything about this.
Thank you, Cyril. Yes, the first important check to do in order to make sure that all your resources could declare properly their timesheets is to have a look on the production plans. You are going in the reporting menu, and then first item, production plans. As you can see, I made a research already, saved one, for my billable resources of the month. So I can have a look and see that all my resources for March have the blue line. The legend will show you that they have signed delivery. If you go to my filter, you can have a look that I displayed option to highlight the HR contracts. And so on, I can have a look and make sure that all my resources have as well HR contract registered in the system. So for March, everything is correct. If I have a look on the previous months for February, I can see that I had Mr. Tar which was working on a project which has been ended. But no problem, because I can see as well that he has quitted the company. I can have a look on the red line for Mr. Boond, that he was working for an internal project, which is ending as well. No problem. If I have a look on the Wesley line, the second one, I can see that he has a delivery for March, but nothing for April, sorry. So I have two options. In 2 weeks, maybe he's coming back in intercontract, so I have to find him mission quite urgently. Or, and I prefer this option, my client tells me that the mission has been extended. So I can go clicking on the blue line, I can go directly in my project, and I can create a renewal, selecting the delivery, and then create a renewal for the 1st of April. And then I'm gonna change the date because it was only for 1 month. So for the 30th of April, make sure the daily sales charge is the same, and then put a number of days sold. Because I'm not sure of it, I'm gonna change the state of the delivery for forecast until my client will confirm it to me. And then if I go back to the production plan, I can see that now for Mr. Wesley, I've got the green line. So I could see that he's not coming back in intercontract. Now I have everything, all the elements right for March to make the billings. So the first check is a success. Deborah, will you sum up?
So as Estelle said, production plans permit you to check if all your billable resources have one or several deliveries this month, all your deliveries are updated, or if you need to do any specific actions, for example, renewal, move a delivery from forecast to signed. And production plan is your best friend to do all of those checks. Let's continue with all billings elements control.
Yep, absolutely. So thank you, Estelle. Thank you, Deborah. So now my turn for the second part. So how can I actually check only the elements that need to be checked before generating the invoice? So now we have a very, very good friend in BoondManager, which is called post-production. This is an incredible application that will help you do all of this. So what is post-production? It's an application that we strongly recommend you using for your billing. Thanks to this app, you have an amazingly clear overview of everything you need to bill month by month, and that will help you double check of all of the necessary elements that you need to have before the generation of the invoice. All right, so what do we have here? So post-production, so we are in March, that's the period that we need to bill right now, and we have actually 10 ongoing projects in March. In terms of columns and information in the page, so we have the different project names, so the first column, then we have the name of the clients linked to each project, and we have the name of the resources that have deliveries on the project. Then on the right part of the page, we have everything about the purchase order, which is absolutely necessary to be the project. And then we have the number of days that have been declared on the timesheets that will also trigger a production turnover. We have also the charge turnover, just to make sure that it hasn't been billed yet. And then also a comment section that we'll use right after. Okay, so right now let's zoom on some examples just to see the different case scenario that we have here for March. So first, for some of my projects, which is good, is that everything is ready and there is nothing more to do. So let's have a look at two different projects. So for example, if we zoom on my HRIS implementation project, here it's actually a fixed price project. So we have the name of the schedule. So step 1, 25,000 euros. That's what I need to bill this month. So obviously there is the purchase order. So nothing more. It's not built yet. That's why then my invoice icon at the end of the line is in color and ready to be built. Okay, that's one example. Another one, there is another project which is actually called Project Leader. For this project here, we have the purchase order, so it's fine. We have the resource which has declared 23 days with a price of 600 euros. So that's a total amount of 13,800 euros. All right, the times has been validated. So here we've got everything. Okay, fair enough. The invoice is ready to be generated. So now let's have a look at some projects for which maybe some actions still need to be carried out. For example, if we have a look at my website launch project, here, apparently everything's there. We have the purchase order, we have the number of days, the production 23 days, we have the daily set charge 550 euros. But yes, times have been validated, but I've got the little red icon, so on the timesheet icon, which actually means if we go down the page just to have a look at the legend, that's the signed document which was supposed to be attached to the timesheet is missing, so has not been put there. All right, so let's click on the timesheet icon directly. So we can show you that in BoondManager, we have a feature that will enable you directly from the timesheet of the resource to actually trigger a signature process so the clients can send a document and then the document will be directly attached to the timesheets. So let's click on send. Then we just here, actually we have nothing to change because we have the client's PDF selected, the one that we're going to use, the one suggested by BoondManager. Then we already have the email of the validator because every month we send the document to the same person. So let's just click on the send button. And then just to show you the process, the whole process, we're going to go to Barak's email. Then here we have received the email. So your signature is requested. We have a link. We just click on the link in that email. Then we can actually see the document that we need to sign. With the times on the project, we put our first name, last name, and then the position in the company and click on sign. Okay, so now it's done. So we can actually go back to post-production, to the timesheet, refresh the page. We can see that now the process is completed. And then the timesheet, which has been signed, has been automatically attached to the documents. So everything's ready. So if we go back to post-production application, now we can see that for this project. So the first one, we don't have the red icon anymore. And right now the invoice can be generated. Okay. Another example, I've got another project, which is called the Billing App Dev, which is again a fixed time project. And here there is something which is weird because I've got my purchase order, but then apparently there is nothing to build. So maybe I want to make sure that everything's correct. So let's click on the purchase order number directly to enter it. And let's check that we have the information tab. All right, so, fair enough. So we have a schedule for April. We have a schedule for June. Right now we are in March. So that's why there is nothing in post-production. Okay, so everything's fine. So what can I do just not to forget this every month and do the same check? I'm going to use the comment section for my project. Click on the plus and just write here that there is no schedule for March. So no schedule for March. I can just write this note here directly. Perfect. Save. And now every time I'm going to hover my mouse on the bubble here, I can see the comments, so no need to check anymore. Okay. Two other examples for you. So we have a project which is called New Website. And post-production tells me that there is no order, and I'm pretty sure that I actually created this order. So let's have a look. So let's click on the name of the project directly to enter the project. And here, so on my deliveries tab, apparently there is no order linked to the delivery. Okay, let's go to bidding. Okay, I think I know. So let's enter the purchase order. Okay, there we go. Actually, I did create my purchase order, but I forgot one very important step, which is to link the purchase order with the delivery. And if I don't do this, then post-production just shows me that there is no purchase order. So now if we save, if we go back to post-production, then that error will have been corrected. And right now, this project is ready to be built. Okay, okay, promise. Last example of what maybe you can encounter in your real life using post-production is that here we have two projects, new payroll system benchmark and product owner. So we have actually the same person working on the project, which is Carl Amel. And we can see that the times have been declared but not validated. And that's something that you need to do just to make sure that the invoice that you generate is correct. So let's click on the times icon. And okay, so let's check the timesheet. So here, product owner, 7 days, new payroll system benchmark, 13 days. All right, that's good. So that's what we checked with Carl Amel. So just let's validate the timesheet. Confirm. Okay. Let's go back to post-production. And right now, that's perfect. So everything's ready to be built. We just have the only one, so the billing app dev not ready far enough because there is no schedule. All right, so everything's fine. So now we can actually recap this part. So Deborah, over to you.
Thank you, Cyril. If we recap all the steps, you have to first check the timesheet and expenses by using the apps with the validation view and lock if it's not already done. Then you can go on post-production app, your best ally. Check all your projects to verify if the purchase order are well correlated to deliveries. For remind, without purchase order, you cannot make an invoice. And when you verify this, verify then that they are complete with all the information you need to bill. For example, the billing instruction, email address, etc. To finish, you can verify if there is a production or schedules to bill this month. If an invoice already exists, you will notice it and be blocked to make some more. Let's continue with the invoices generation.
Now, everything is okay to generate your invoice. As Cyril told you, as soon as you have the invoice icon, you can generate the invoice. So you can click it on the line, at the bottom of the line. So invoices by invoices. Or if you fill the client from A to Z, you can do it from for each client using, selecting them and using the icon to generate the invoices. Or you can as well use the keywords to select only the one you want to work on. Now, there's another option, and then we do recommend it, to mass generate all your invoices, is to use the icon you have upright, the orange one. So you can do again once. There's a red message saying that there's one project with no billing. Normal, it's the one with no schedule. That's it. And you have your pro forma invoice. Just before to go to the pro forma invoice list, we can see the comments that we do have on this screen. And the one for the project leader is to remember that we do have 2 days free of charge to apply on this invoice. So I have to adjust this invoice. Going to the pro forma list through the link, and then you will see that from the menu on the left, we are not in the post-production apps anymore. We move to the billing menu, invoices. I have all my pro forma invoices that I just generated. I'm gonna open the one for the project leader, for example, and then go into the invoice. You can see that upright, I do have the client details, with the email address, the telephone number I do have some, or as well the post email. On the left, I have a direct link to go to the purchase order. So if I have to change something in this invoice, I can do it from the purchase order. I have a link as well to go to the project, the period that the invoice is dealing with. And then on the right, I have a resume of the timesheet. So I can easily check if the daily sales rate is correct and the direction as well. Now, I know that on this project, I remember that I had 2 days off to apply. So I can add a row and then write it down 2 days free of charge. So I can modify my invoices from them, putting the rate -2 and then now I know that this invoice is totally checked. I can save it and change the states for creation. And then you will see that as soon as I'm gonna save it, I have the reference number of my invoice. And so I can go further to another invoice to check it using the arrow up there. I don't have to change the state of each invoice every time. I can do it in mass. So going back to invoices, and as soon as all my invoices have been checked, I can select them all in once, using the little pen icon to edit and change the state for creation. And then you can see that in 2 clicks, I've got all my reference numbers for my invoices. So now I just want to have a look if I did generate all my invoices of the month. So I go back to post-production, to the apps. And then I can see that the total charge columns have been filled. I just only one delta, it's for the project leader, but no problem, because if I have a look on my notes, I know this is totally normal. So I can see that my delegation of skills project are totally generated. Now, what about my schedules and my fixed price project? So I'm going to go to billing menu, and then the second item is schedules. Thanks to deadlines, I can see that everything for March have been already generated. I can have a quick look as well using the filters, selecting the period, and then check what the schedules in March is due, and the invoice has been already created. So I can be calm and relaxed. Everything has been okay for my billing of March. Deborah, will you have a look on it?
Post-production is your new best friend. It permits you to generate your invoices one by one of all at the same time. For a better organization, you can choose to do it per client or by project type. For example, first the delegation of skills projects, and after all the fixed price projects. It will generate pro forma invoices. Then by clicking on the shortcut link, you can adjust all your invoices and navigate between them with the arrow. And whenever you're ready, you can change the state to creation, and it will put references on your invoices following your chrono. Let's see how to send your invoices efficiently with Boond.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so now the invoice sending parts. Okay, so let's go back to BoondManager. Let's go back to the billing module and the invoices tab. Okay, so first, here I need to tell you about something, which is, again, something amazing that we have in BoondManager, another application called emailing. As I guess most of your invoices will be sent to your clients by email, to help you save time, we have that application called emailing that will actually be synchronized with your email provider, and that will enable you to send all of the invoices directly from BoondManager without having to download them. So first, because maybe that not all of them will be sent by email, what I'm going to do is to add a filter, which is the sending mode filter. And for now, just check the email, which means that all of the invoices that needs to be sent by email to my clients. So here I had 10 invoices, and okay, good, check, because just 9 of them have to be sent by email. So here, very easy, because obviously we have already prepared in the billing instructions of every client the emails of the people that will need to get those emails. I'm just going to select all of them. Then in the toolbar at the bottom of the page, click on the emailing icon. It's going to trigger the emailing workflow. So in the first part, all of the invoices I have selected, and in the second part, just the continue button. So let's click on there. And right now we are in the emailing application. So here, what I can do if I really want to make sure that everything is fine, I can click on the blue line 9 invoices to send. That will open a panel on the right with the invoices to be sent. And I can actually open the detail and check the emails of the people getting my recipient getting my invoices. Also, something which can be interesting if we just go down the page. Oh, sorry, that's the second one. Here I can see that there are 2 icons. There is the red one for the invoice and the yellow one. The yellow one will be for the attachment, so the signed timesheet that is linked to the invoice, which means that my clients will receive both the timesheet and the invoice. So that's also something that will do automatically for you. Okay, so my checks are done. So obviously, again, because I don't want every month to write the same thing, so obviously we have created a template here, which is invoice sending with my object, with my main body. We use variables. So obviously you can just do the sending once, and then it will be adapted to each client receiving the emails here, right there. And also, because I try to do everything at the same time, right now my invoices are in the creation mode state, and automatically after being sent, all of them will be moved to the transmitted to the client, so I don't have to do this after sending. Okay, so everything seems to be ready. So let's click on the green icon at the top of the page to send the invoice. So it's just going to take a few seconds while it's sending out all of the invoices. And when it's done, you will see that there is something which is also very convenient, that for the fact to use emailing, is that right now, if you just change the state, go to transmit it to the client, and if we open one of the invoice, whatever, if we click on actions, we have an action here that has been automatically created with the body of the email, the person you sent the email to, the day, the time. So it's very easy for you to keep track of the invoices sending. And here, because as I said, my emailing application is synchronized with my Google account, if I actually go back to my email, so my Google account, go back to my sent inbox, I can see right there all of the messages that we sent and the invoices that has been sent to our clients. There we go. All right. Okay. So then, yeah, there's the email. Okay. So now, just Deborah, if you want to recap this sending part.
Yeah, with pleasure, Cyril. As Cyril said, you have the sending mode filter that is really convenient, because with that, you can choose to bulk send the invoices thanks to emailing. It's automatically attached all the signed timesheets that you choose to attach. And an action will be created on the invoice action tabs, and the state change automatically sending the mail. If you have others sending mode, you can, from the billing module, mass export the invoices, export any attached document, and use the download center to download them and send them on portal, for example, or by post. Let's finish with the invoices follow-up.
Of course, you have to follow up your payment because all month long you might get payments. So to easily register them, you go to the billing menu still, invoices, and then when you receive your bank transfer, you just have to select the relevant invoice and then check the total amount that you received and then edit the state to change it from transmitted to client to paid. And then you can put the date of the payment as well to track it. Now, unfortunately, because life is not as soft as heaven, some of your clients will have some late payments. First of all, BoondManager will keep an eye on it, and then you will receive an alert from your dashboard in your notification center. Just go to the dashboard, notification, and then you will have a direct link to the invoices which is due. At the same time, you can go to your billing menu and then follow them up as well with a research, save the research, for example, for your expected payment or unpaid invoices. And then you can see that there's several invoiced which were due. So at once you can select them and send a reminder to your clients using the same app that Cyril did, but now changing the template for the recovery one. And then you will see that it will change as well the statement of the invoice for recovery. So you see, like in two minutes, you send the reminder to your clients and follow up your invoices. Now, because your treasury is definitely the heart of your company, you might have a look on your reports. Going to reporting and simply one, there is reports dedicated to your billings. So I made already the choice to filter on the months, and I choose the main full indicators to see exactly where my turnover is. So for example, if I have a look on March, I can see that I still have 9,000 euros in creation. Clicking directly on this amount, I can see that I generate the invoice, but I did not transmit it to the guest. So I can have a look on it, just open it, and then I can see that through the purchase order, this is to give the invoice through a portal. So no problem, I can generate, I can, download the PDF and then send it to the guest, and then change the state for transmitted to clients. So it's a double check as well to see if I've done and if all my clients received their invoices. Now for March, I don't have any invoice in pro forma states, neither in the creation. Let's have a look on January and February. If the payment terms, if you know that in your company it's max for 45 days, then for January, everything has to be already paid. So now it's in recovery. It's because I just sent a reminder. So everything's correct. If I click on it, I will see that this is my 3 invoices sent. Going back, I can have a look as well for January, that's the total turnover charge and the total period charge is not the same. There is the difference between on 9,000 euros. If I click on the turnover charge and find the 9,000 euros difference, I'm going to open the third one, refonte du site, and then open this one. And then I can see that this is an invoice that generates in January, but the delegation of skills project was for a period of November. This is where there is a difference between the turnover charge and the turnover period charge. So I go back to my reports. And then I can still have a look there month by month to see exactly where my turnover is and to register everything is being paid, actually. So this was the final check, and the billing, I think we arrived to the Z.
Yeah. And I'm going to recap this part, Estelle, if that's sure. Okay for you, if everything's been said. All right, so the Z part of this presentation, the Invoices Follow-up. So here, Estelle showed us actually two different ways that you can go to follow up on your invoices. First, we've seen that in the billing module directly, you can use actually the states filtering to have a look at the invoices which, let's say, are expected payments, like transmit to the clients or maybe in recovery. Then you can also add the filter of the expected payment date, just to make sure that maybe there is not something in the past which was supposed to be paid already and has not been paid. And then directly from there, you can send reminders using the emailing application that we use for the initial signing, and also create more actions to keep track of everything that you do directly in the invoice. And then we have another option, which is also very good, which is the reporting one. So in the reporting, you have, for example, in the billing synthesis, so the global view of the charge turnover per month, if you decide to do it per month. Then you also have, this global charge turnover that could be cut off in per state. So if you want to make sure that there is this total amount, and then maybe in January, everything's supposed to be paid or transmitted to the clients, but no invoice are supposed to be in creation, for example, or pro forma. And then also, Estelle showed us that on the dashboard, you can activate notifications that will, for example, let you easily know that 2, 3, 4, 5 invoices have late payments. So then you can actually click on them, go directly to the billing module, send reminders, and do everything that you need to do. So billing module, reporting module would be the two allies that you can use to help you follow up on everything. All right, okay, so now that's the, I think, official end of this presentation. So we hope that you liked it, that it was very helpful. And then it's time for questions and answers that you can actually, just for the reminder, if you are looking for the question and answer part, it's at the bottom of the screen, Q&A or Q&R section. So if there are still some unclear subject topics, just go there and ask the questions. Okay, so maybe that we can have a look at the questions that we have. So we have a few questions for now. Okay, so maybe one that we can answer right now because it's linked to this last part. It's Lucy's question. Can I send an invoice to more than one email on the client side via emailing? Can I add emails on a copy? So we actually did two things here. So that was the initial signing, or that was the signing for the reminders. When you actually send an invoice, like right now, you can, if you want, when you send it, add more people in copy. So visible copy or invisible copy. So it works that way. Directly also, if you want to send the invoice to more than one person in the billing instructions, you can also add up to 3 emails directly in the billing instructions of your clients. So it depends. You can do that directly in the billing instructions. You can add the people if it just sometimes directly when you send the invoice. So yeah, it's something that you can actually do. as they were issuing right now, you can actually have 3 items. Yeah, so billing instructions directly when say invoice, up to you, but that's a possible option.
We've got a question as well, Cyril. If we do an invoice manually, like for example, for more expensive, sorry, the invoice, the other invoice is not coming back in post-production. Would you answer this?
Yeah, sure. Actually, you know what the way that the good process that we recommend you using is that first you have your main invoice. So it's good to start with that in post-production. So you generate the main invoice with the main times as we did today. And then your charge turnover then will appear directly in the column charge turnover. And then if you have more manual invoice to generate, you can directly go in the purchase order and then here click on the plus and create more invoice. We suggest you doing this way because as you've noticed, as soon as there is at least €1 which is invoiced in the month, this will appear in post-production. And because the charge turnover is not equal to 0, then post-production will block you from generating more invoice. So first do the main invoice, and then if you have to do addition 1, you go to the purchase order and you generate the other invoices. So it's better to do it this way because that will be, you know, smoother for your process. So I hope that this answer is clear. If it's not, then just you can ask again, no problem. Okay, we have another question from Cecile, which tells us that, so we have, I create a schedule, post-production tells me there is no order after the first month. My project starts in March, schedule starts in March and goes on for a while, all good in post-production in March, but when April comes, it looks like there is no order and so on and so forth. Normally, as we've seen today, if you create your fixed time project, if you have a delivery, if you link the delivery to the purchase order, and then in the purchase order, then you create your schedule, the project obviously will be visible in post-production, you know, all project long, like let's say from January to December. Just that when you bill a month with no schedule, then that will just tell you that actually there is nothing to bill because there is no schedule. But then it's actually the normal behavior, but then your order should be visible. Normally the order is visible, just that there is no production is equal to 0. So there is nothing to be built. But then if you don't, maybe that you have that behavior because you actually do not link the purchase order with the delivery, which is still compulsory. So that's maybe why. So just make sure that the purchase order is linked to the delivery, and then you shouldn't have the error message in post-production for the other month. So Ceci, just check that, and then if you still have the problem, then no problem, you can just write to us, as you know, using the support, and then we'll help you. But if you do that, that should be fine.
And maybe you can check that your project is on the good period, because if you let the default period, to say 1 day, it can explain that your project don't appear in post-production, doesn't appear.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but if ever you still encounter the problem, just come to us and we will help you. Yeah, true. Esther, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you answered for
notes. Yes, for the notes. Yeah. Can you show it? It's maybe easier just to leave a note to another day, to another month. For example, I know that in May on my or April, up to you. If I have a note, because I do have a free of charge days to apply. So on the filter, on post-production, I just choose the day that I have to do the adjustment that I have to make on the invoice. And then I choose the project, put the commands, and then do what I have, 3 days off, for example, free of charge. And then these commands will stay in May. So if I have to do my invoices for April, I don't have these comments. But when I will do and generate my invoices for May, I will see the comments.
Correct.
And then if I go back to March, for example, this comment, the example that we had for March, the 2 days free of charge, will stay there. So as well, if I see like the delta, the red line, if I'm in November, I don't know why I've got a delta between my turnover production and my turnover charged. So I'll go back in my billing of March and I will see, still see my notes. That's it.
Yep, that's
maybe
it.
we can maybe we can answer Karin's question on notifications.
Yeah, I just wanted to, because Cécile just gave you an additional, piece of information, and I think I understand now the case scenario. Because Cécile, you said that it might be another type of project. I think that you might mention that the type of project might be recruitment. If this is recruitment, then yes, that's the normal behavior, because in a recruitment project, you don't have any delivery. So then if you have a schedule, that will be visible on the first month of the project, but then post-production will show as there is no order, because for this kind of project, you actually have to use the billing module and the schedule tab. So I think that's why, if you want more information about it, just again come to us. We can explain more. But yeah, just know that for the recruitment project, post-production is maybe not the best way. That's the way it is. Yes, it is. All right. Okay. So that's a confirmation. So use the billing module and the schedule parts. That will be the best method for the recruitment project. All right. Deborah, I don't see the question about the.
Where is it? Karin was answering how can she do to how can she have all the alerts of factoration of billing modules?
Okay. So for all of the notifications, if you don't have them on the screen, it's maybe because you need to go to the administration panel in BoondManager, then to the apps marketplace module, where you can actually have all of the application. So here it's notification app. Then you click on the cogwheel at the top right hand for configuration. And here you can actually see all of the sections. If you go down the page, you will have the billing section, and that's where you can actually activate, deactivate, configure every notification. The one we actually used today was invoices whose states are, and then we select the states that we are interested in, whose payment state is past more than number of days. And that's thanks to this one that we had the notification on the page. And that's why we know that we have possibly late payment and that we need to chase up the clients. So anyway, just that's where you need to go for, and yeah, and that's the result.
One more thing, to have the notification, you have to be the main manager of the purchase order.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
We have a question about the how to make a credit invoice. So you can go on a new project. Everything will be generated from the purchase order. So you have to go into a project. Go into your purchase order, and then you can select the purchase order. The question is, Deborah, with no relation with an invoice. So it's just, you have to do it from a purchase order, and then you have the icon plus up there, and then you have credit notes. And then it's not creating from an invoice, so you can create just natural, simple credit notes. And if it's linked to an invoices, then you create it from the invoice using the same icon, plus icon, and then doing it from the which invoice is done.
Yep, that's correct. And just because then Gil had another question, like, what, another case scenario, if it's linked like to an end of year discount for our clients, then actually the way to proceed will be the same, just that the way that we advise you to do will be to actually create a different project for your clients, because maybe that you don't want to impact one specific project for a global end of year discount. So just create a project for this client, a fixed price project. In this project, just create a purchase order. And then in this purchase order, you can actually, as Estelle and Deborah showed you, just create your credit note, which will be linked to the client, but not one specific project. And in there, just send the total discount for the client for the year. So that's the way you can do for this kind of global discount for one client. Okay, it looks like there is no more questions for now. It's nearly noon, so maybe that people are already hungry and ready for lunch. Okay, so I think if that's fine, so maybe it's time for us to thank you. Also, every time, we are very happy when we get your feedback at the end of the webinar. So if you want to just give us 2 minutes of your time, so 2 more minutes, just please fill in the survey, the questionnaire. We'll be very happy to know what you thought about it. And yeah, and I think that's a wrap. So thanks a lot.
Thank you very much indeed for your attention, and I hope to see you on the next webinar.
Yeah, hope to see you soon. Thank you, Estelle. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Bye.